Test 1, 2. Jonathan, this is Chris at Fox 5. Can you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can.
Awesome.
I'm just getting the shot set up here.
No sweat. You got a couple minutes still.
Okay, cool. Let me turn these
Thank you.
flashing lights on.
All right, we go live in about a minute 30. We're going to start off with a little Artemis countdown, etc. Then we'll get into our politics.
Okay, terrific.
Thank you.
All right.
I was waiting
Stand
on you.
off.
All right, it is 9 o'clock on this Tuesday
See,
night.
I was getting you a little bit.
It is time for the live zone prime time. Thank you to everyone who is tuning in right now, whether you are watching on Fox Local or you are watching on Fox 5
Yes,
DC's YouTube page. Tony P, how's your Tuesday been?
It is going
busy
well.
Tuesday as always.
I
here
have
for
not
you here
left
at
the
Fox 5.
concourse today. I have not left this beautiful compound, I call it here, with Fox 5 and Geico and everybody here. I have not left.
Tony P is obsessed with Geico.
I've been watching the old commercials. I've been watching them.
Obsessed with Geico. Anyway, it
was a good era
busy
of
Tuesday
advertising.
for Tony P. Tomorrow is already shaping up to be a busy day.
Yes.
I know it's only Tuesday, but let's look ahead to Wednesday because
Why
coming up
not?
tomorrow, we just learned recently, according to Caroline Leavitt from the White House, that tomorrow night at 9 p.m., President Trump will give an address to the nation to provide an important update on the war in Iran. Of course, we will carry that live for you right here on Fox Local and streaming on Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. And we will have complete coverage after the fact, beforehand.
Right.
A lot of other things going on tomorrow, Tony P, as well. Some that I'm pretty excited about.
Yes.
And some that, it's news and we got to get.
It is. No, I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, I'm interested to see what the address is. Is it similar to the last time he gave a speech like this where it's 15 minutes, he was quick, or like the one we had before Christmas where he rambled on for about an hour?
That one, we didn't have much to do that
No,
night.
we didn't. And it was very like State of the Union-esque. But what's going to be interesting is this the decision where he brings troops on the ground? That's what a lot of folks are probably thinking right now. It could also be something a lot smaller than that. We sometimes think these speeches are going to be a big announcement with President Trump, but usually they're just smaller announcements that are part of something. But we shall see.
We shall see. The other thing that we're looking ahead to tomorrow, but we're talking about here tonight,
Yes.
is the one that I'm most excited for. And this isn't the greatest live picture. I do acknowledge that. But what you are looking at right now is the launch pad down at Cape Canaveral. The Artemis 2 rocket on the launch pad. We are a little less than 24 hours away from liftoff for the first manned moon mission in more than 50 years. We are talking about NASA's Artemis 2 mission set to launch Wednesday, 6:24 p.m. The mission will send 4 astronauts beyond Earth's orbit to circle the moon and test the spacecraft's ability in deep space. NASA says this time the hope is to not let another 50 years pass before we go back. The launch will serve as a test flight to the next moon landing and hopefully one day going to Mars. Tourists already flooding Florida's Space Coast ahead of the launch to hopefully get a view of that launch. This was earlier today. So the question now, Tony P, will Mother Nature cooperate?
Right, and how does it impact it?
And how does that impact the flight? I know that the launch window opens not before 6:24, but they do have some built-in time in there as well. So when we're talking weather, Tony P, you know who we have to go to.
Of
We have
course.
to go to Fox 5 meteorologist Mike Thomas, joining us here live
up, brother?
tonight. Mike, I know we don't usually ask you for a lot of Florida forecasts,
Yeah.
but
Not the worst thing,
there
though.
are, we also don't get many missions to the moon. It's been like 50
So
years.
if they
None of us were alive.
If they invited you, would you go?
No.
No. yeah,
What?
I
Why wouldn't you
either.
go?
A couple of reasons. I don't even love getting on an airplane.
Yeah. Yeah.
A. B, these guys are like A, rocket scientists.
True.
B, like some of
Literally
them are
rocket
like
scientists.
That's very true.
pilots. Like they're prepared in cases of emergencies.
Right.
I've seen Apollo 13. That's 3. 4, they say in space no one can hear you scream.
That's
Anyway,
true.
No,
I
definitely
can hear
not.
you scream around the capsule.
But also, I would also
Right.
this is the other thing.
sound isn't
You know,
traveling
I
as
have-
You know what
fast.
I saw Alien.
Guys, well, that's where that quote is.
Yeah.
Listen, in all seriousness, I have been to the Air and Space Museum. I have seen those old
good museum.
Apollo capsules.
Yes.
Those instrumentations on which they literally somebody sat there on top of a missile, got launched, and I have more technology in this
Right.
phone.
And had to navigate
Like,
space. Think
Do
about
you know what
that.
I mean? Like, I want a state-of-the-art touch screen, like everything. Not, and
I
it
want dummy-proof.
Fascinates me still when I look in the cockpit of an airplane and I see like those old school analog dials. And I know that those pilots know what they're doing, but my God,
It's
you've
too
got
much.
an iPad over there,
Right? Yeah.
Like,
No. I mean, look, life's so much simpler
scares
here.
the hell out of me.
We are so happy here on Earth. I have no desire to go to space.
We're so happy, Hunter.
One day, in the millennium ahead, we're
This-
gonna have to move on. But
This
right
is
now, we
where
don't
you
need
see
to.
this picture of the moon, nearly full pink moon. This is courtesy
Yeah.
of our friend Greg Redfern. We
Oh,
talked
wow.
to him last night, the sky guy. He sent me this picture today that he took through his telescope. They are going to the dark side of the moon, not to quote Pink Floyd or anything.
Or
But isn't that
or
crazy?
REM, they're gonna be the
And
man on the
fun,
moon. You
fun
know?
fact: the moon rotates at the same speed that the Earth rotates, and that's why the dark side of we never see the dark
Right.
side of the moon. Like that is a literal fact.
Okay.
That side of the moon never faces Earth.
Can I ask you this? How does space itself, the atmosphere, the tectonic movements, or whatever you want to call it, affect weather here on Earth?
The biggest thing that the moon affects is tides.
Tides. I knew that
Ah.
one. Mike Thomas, what is the forecast
Class is in
looking
session.
like tomorrow for this launch? Are we going to get this in as far as you know?
I have a good feeling about this one. Morning hours look a little dicey down
Okay.
in Florida, and I got some stuff queued up because we're always prepared.
Yes,
from the
of
weather
course.
department.
Which
So,
weather PC am I going on? Max 1?
Max 1.
Let's
take
do it.
what we call Maximus 1.
Maximus
for,
1.
For this,
That should be the
this
ship's name,
beautiful
Maximus.
launch, right? Cape Canaveral. All right, so this is live satellite and radar down there tonight. They had a shower or two off the coast, but if they were launching tonight, I mean, you saw those earlier shots that you guys were showing. Beautiful skies down there today, but of course today wasn't launch day. Big picture showing you some storms. I've got the arrow marking where it is in Florida. It's basically due east of
Got it.
Orlando there. So I'm sure lots of folks flying into Orlando, hightailing it over the coast, or Melbourne. Melbourne's got a big airport there, and they're trying to take a peek. So I got it circled for you as we run through Futurecast. And look, morning hours down there, according to our Futurecast, do look a little dicey. They could have some rain showers, some thunderstorms. That is fine. If those are going to happen, let it happen while the they're in the morning hours or in the preparation phase. Now, the one thing I know that can happen, and this has happened before, I'm not sure what time they put it out on the launch pad.
It's there, baby.
If it's already there, which, I guess the live pictures.
It's like a 24-hour journey from
Right.
the hangar or whatever.
If it gets hit by lightning at any time, they are going to delay it so that they check all their equipment.
Inspect
now, it has the best lightning deflector. Like that antenna that's on top is a lightning rod. Its whole sole mission is to protect the shuttle. But still, when you're launching human beings to the moon, it's always better safe than sorry. So if that tower gets hit at all by lightning, or if there's lightning nearby that strikes the ground nearby, they're going to check all the instrumentation and make sure none of it was impacted. So that'll be something to monitor through the morning hours. There's video. I think it's one of the most struck objects on planet Earth is that launch pad. I'll have to
Wow.
double check, but because of where it is, it's so flat, it's so isolated, and they get thunderstorms down there all the frickin' time. So morning hours into the early afternoon.
That was a scientific
Yeah,
term.
all
Yes,
the
it
frickin'
was.
time. Scientific terms there. Into the early afternoon and evening, look how the boundary kind of pushes from east to west, which happens a lot. You get a sea breeze there going in central Florida that pushes the thunderstorms towards the center of the state, and then they continue drifting westward from there. So as we progress towards launch time and beyond, the general consensus is that these storms, you'll get a little bit more stable, and these storms are going to continue to push off and trend to the west. So launch window right now looks good. I would say the number one concern is let's make sure we don't get hit by lightning during the front half of the day, and then the evening hours look pretty stable. So as in terms of the weather, I think I would give it a 8 out of 10 shot.
Okay.
All right, we're going to be on time.
Around on time.
I like those odds.
that.
Not bad odds. Not bad odds at all.
at
Now,
all.
let me ask you this. Is the weather you were mentioning, that's the flat area, there's a lot of lightning down there, is that because of where Cape Canaveral is positioned, or is that just sort of a trend
Yeah,
recently?
I mean, no, they're in the tropics. They're down in the tropics. You got a lot of warm water down there. You got a lot of convection. It is not like up here where you have jet stream winds driving anything.
Right.
When you heat up the landmass near there, everything just goes straight up.
Right.
There's not a lot to stop it from going up. You're very unstable down there most of the spring and summer.
Can I ask a stupid question?
I love stupid questions.
All right, so for an area that has constant pop-up storms like Florida does, why is that where they launch from?
Great question.
So that is actually a great question that I remember reading the answer to, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
There is a reason they do it, and I think it has to do with where it is on planet Earth and where it is in the United States.
Which would make sense, yeah.
As opposed to anywhere else. I don't think it has to do with them trying to, because you'd want to launch from Maine if you were trying to avoid thunderstorms this time of year during the summertime. But I think it has to do with the geography around the area and where it is relative to where they're going.
Fortunately, I have the answers to basically every question on planet Earth at my fingertips.
You do.
And I will Google that.
Now, I have one
Before
final
our commercial
question,
break.
okay? Now, I'm not going to go to ChatGPT for this one. So, in your experience, like, when
Mike GPT.
I don't. I like that. We got to have
Emphasis
that
on the
around.
T.
Except
That
I
could be
just said
any of
I
our
didn't
weather
know the answer
questions.
to that.
Right, that's okay though. Now, when looking at like a space takeoff, for example, are the same weather considerations made for a space takeoff like this in this weather, like you would see for a plane? Or is it just because the technology is so much better?
They're much more strict. They are much more strict.
Oh,
about
they
space.
are?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And I will say, I think one of the reasons, and when Chris Googles this, he'll probably find it out. I think one of the reasons is because of the atmosphere down that way.
Right.
I think you're a little bit more. You're not dealing with the jet stream winds and stuff like that. So you have much more consistent atmosphere as you're going up down that far south, as opposed to farther north, where you're dealing with the polar jet stream, which can shift. You got 200-mile-an-hour winds, 40,000 feet above the surface. That can cause some tricky stuff to go on with the rocket down that way.
You would think airplanes would be like a little bit like less. I mean, more less.
Well, airplanes have wing. I mean, you remember, as Chris said, you're being strapped to essentially a missile and you're shooting straight up here.
True.
You got wings on the shuttle, and when you're re-entering, you're coasting
Oh,
on the
yeah.
air. You're not so much coasting on the air as much as you are just trying to get to escape velocity and get the heck away from Earth.
True.
All right, here's the answer. The primary reason that they launch from Florida is its proximity to the equator. And this is important because as Earth rotates on its axis, it creates positive kinetic energy. So that basically gives it a speed boost as it launches. So there you go.
Interesting.
Mike Thomas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
and
you,
lending
sir.
us
By the
As
way,
always.
I am in my summer garb because, oh man, was it nice outside.
It was.
It certainly was.
You played Penn State?
You'll have the
Way back. This was this was probably before you were born.
Oh,
man.
come on.
He'll have the full
That is the
forecast
best.
for us here on planet Earth and right here in the DMV. Coming up, Fox 5 News at 10 and 11.
Go Nittany
right
Lions.
here
Yes, my
on
friend.
Fox
Always a pleasure.
Global.
Love to watch,
Do
too.
you think my Nittany Lions are going to win the NCAA tournament?
Well, then
For basketball.
They're not in it, right?
No, they're not. I was
Ah,
We are
thank you.
moving on. We are
Lacrosse. I'm
moving on.
horrible at lacrosse, by
Get
the way.
out of here, Mike
I must add
Thomas.
that.
Get out of here, Mike Thomas. All right,
Oh,
back
God.
here
All right,
on planet Earth.
Let me
Let's
go
talk
back to
about
Earth. Here we go.
Two major legal setbacks for President Trump. First up, a federal judge says the construction on the new White House ballroom must stop until it receives approval from Congress. In a 35-page opinion, the judge wrote President Trump likely did not have the authority to tear down the East Wing and make other significant changes to the White House. He also questioned who is in charge of the construction and if private donations can be used to fund it. The president says he's raised more than $350 million of the $400 million he says it will cost for that ballroom. Now, a little earlier in the day, a federal judge blocked President Trump's efforts to end funding for NPR and PBS. U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss ruled President Trump's presidential directive unlawful and unenforceable. Moss said the First Amendment does not allow for, quote, viewpoint discrimination and retaliation. NPR's president and CEO says the decision affirms the rights of a free and independent press, and PBS released a statement saying the company is thrilled with the decision. So, for more on these legal setbacks and the other big political headlines of the day, we are bringing in our team of experts, Democratic strategist Jonathan Harris and Republican strategist Brian Maloney, joining us now live. Guys, thanks so much for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone Primetime.
Sure thing.
So, Jonathan, I want to start with you. The East Wing is gone. I mean, it's demolished. So is this too little too late, this ruling?
You know, unfortunately, like you said, it is pretty much gone, and that is a bit sad historically for the people who appreciated all the historical events that happened at the White House. That is a bit sad, but it is something to be said to stop it at least where it is and let the president know that he is the president, not a king. He is not a dictator. He doesn't get to just make arbitrary decisions to destroy parts of our White House and parts of the country just because he gets a whim. So yes, in one sense it does feel a little bit too late, but in another sense it is very important to check this man and let him know that he serves the people and that the people don't serve him, and that he doesn't get to just do whatever he wants whenever he wants.
Brian, let me ask you this. With some of these setbacks that the president has gone through from a legal perspective, as well as there are others in the pipeline for some of his policies, birthright citizenship being one of them, does this potentially set back and change President Trump's strategy? Is he going to work more with Congress now and not as much through the courts, or do you see him continuing on this same track?
No, it doesn't at all, because look, the bottom line here is that these are not the issues that if Democrats press these all the way to November, that they are going to win the midterms with. The East Wing business is privately, the funds were privately raised here. It's already been knocked down. There's been a 14-day stay of execution. It then is appealed all the way to the top, and in all likelihood, he wins in the end. The American people are so much more concerned with economic issues, domestic issues, war, etc., and also bringing back this NPR and PBS funding matter just brings a culture war issue back to the forefront that had been left behind and plays into Trump's hands also. So, some things go his way, some things don't. But, I think Democrats do have ways to win in November, lots of ways, but these two are not the way to do it.
And when thinking about this, Jonathan, when looking at, for example, the president's speech tomorrow night, which will be at 9 o'clock, an address to the nation, the war for him is very much an unpopular topic. What do you see coming out of this potential speech from the president about this war, and how do you expect Democrats to respond to it tomorrow night?
Donald Trump is a delusional, I want to stop short of maybe calling him a nut, but I mean, he is delusional. I mean, this is a man who at every turn, every time he does something, his approval rating goes down. And it's as if somehow he has no idea what his approval rating is. His approval rating is in the low 30s. So if someone were telling you every time you're doing something, your approval rating is dropping, the approval rating of the people that you serve is plummeting, a logical, intelligent person would say, maybe I should do something different. And I know that I probably, I don't make it a habit of, when I'm a guest on a show, asking my co-panelists questions, so I won't do it now. But I'm so tempted to ask my co-panelists, when you were voting for Donald Trump and campaigning for Donald Trump during the election, were you voting and campaigning for a net negative or net zero job creation? That's according to Jerome Powell, that if you averaged out the numbers and you played with the numbers and put them where they were supposed to be, we would have net zero job creation. The 4.4% unemployment just increased. Did you advocate for regime change and starting a new war? Did you want a new war in Iran? Is that, of course it wasn't. I mean, can I ask you that? Is that what you were advocating for? That was the Trump that you wanted?
Hey, Brian, yeah, Brian, you can definitely answer if you want to.
Well, look, the bottom line here is that Iran is a 47-year-old headache, a mess started by Jimmy Carter that subsequent presidents kicked the can down the road while the country festered and became a global nightmare with a potential nuclear power element to it. So, we have been waiting for a president who would do something about this for years and years and years. It's the West that brought this regime into power in Iran. Nobody in Iran wants it. And the million-plus Iranians who live in this country can't wait for the regime to be toppled. The question is not, should Trump have gotten us into this war? The question is, does he take the off-ramp that he's looking at taking right now to end it prematurely, or does he push to the end to the point where the regime has been changed? And the key. That's the key argument right now. We're in the war. So if you don't like that we got there, that's too late. So the question now is, what does he do next?
Well, I forgot about the record high gas prices, the record high debt. You skipped over everything that I said except for Iran, and I know why you did it. You did it because, of course, you did not advocate for this Trump. This is not the Trump that you were voting for. This is not the Trump that you were advocating for. And what I find so frustrating about Trump supporters is that you won't just give a straight answer. Just give a straight answer. Just say, he's not doing the things, he's not performing the way that I wanted. Because if you would, perhaps he would. And this seems like a very long way to answer the anchor's question, but I am answering your question. This silly, idiotic speech is just another example of him being completely out of touch with what his supporters want and what the American people want. And the only people that he's going to listen to are his supporters. But his supporters are too, whatever word you want to use, to just say, hey, you're screwing up here, buddy. This is not, we didn't ask you for record high debt. We didn't ask you for record high gas prices. We didn't ask you for unemployment to shoot up to 4.4%. We didn't ask you for a war. We didn't ask you for boots on the ground and regime change. We asked for the opposite of that. And so what my hope is that he's not going to listen to Democrats, but he might actually listen to his supporters if his supporters can find the gumption to stop being these cult-like supporters and call him out for the fact that he has been an abject failure. He is the most unpopular president at any point in a president's history right now. He is the most unpopular. This is called failure.
Yeah, look, the bottom line here is that, we don't even know what he's going to say tomorrow. We don't know what he is going to be talking about. But what we have seen for the last 24 hours or 48 hours or so is the president looking for ways out of this. And the question then becomes, what should he do? Israel wants to push ahead for full regime change. If we want to talk about rhetoric in terms of whether Trump's popular or not, as far as I'm concerned, that's a different debate. Debate here is what the next move is, the next move forward. And of course, Trump has an eye on the midterm elections. Do I think that Trump is spending enough time on domestic issues to win the November elections? No, I don't. And I've said so repeatedly on this channel and on different programs repeatedly. I'm not a rubber stamp for anybody. And I mean, we want to talk about rubber stamping stuff. I mean, this no king's business. Oh, Prince Charles, or I'm sorry, King Charles, please don't come to the U.S. because, we have a king in the White House. Okay,
do you think that there's a problem?
Where do we go with that? That's a little silly. So, it's silly season, it's election year, I get it. But the bottom line is we've got a world here where chess pieces are moving around and we can gripe and complain or whatever, or we can figure out the next best course of action.
Now, Brian, let me ask you this one, Brian, just to follow up. Is there a certain, in your mind, a reset that the president needs to do in these next 3 to 6 months in your mind, like 2 or 3 bullet points that he needs to get done to potentially wrestle this really, again, as John was mentioning, the poll ratings are getting down to 39, 38% from Nate Silver's line, which is usually very conservative. So are there things that he needs to do to arrest this?
Well, yes, and I've been talking about them repeatedly. First of all, though, we just had 4 years of a very unpopular president who, until he was yanked from the race, was fully intent on running again. People have already forgotten the name of Joe Biden. But the bottom line here is that, so to say that this is some kind of scary number that we're seeing. However, I have been talking about what the reset should be. It should be the focus on domestic issues, on economic issues. He's got to get back to this $2,000 tariff rebate check. He's got to get back to 10% cap on credit card interest rates. And he's got to get back to touring around the country again in a way that I've never seen anyone do better than him, in terms of meeting with the people directly and talking about the issues that matter, because let's be frank, there is a lot of frustration with that right now. Now, I don't think we're anywhere near record high gas prices, but they've certainly gone up and people are not happy. And Trump is trying to bring them back down again, but it's not going to be easy absent that off-ramp that he is looking at taking to get out of this war, if he takes that, which is up for debate. So, there's a lot to be done. And I mean, to point all the fingers at Trump, if we get obliterated as Republicans in November, I'm sorry, but I'm pointing most of the fingers at Congress, the Republican-controlled Senate taking a break until April 13th. That's where my frustration is. It's with the House to a smaller extent, but it's with the U.S. Senate to a larger extent.
What happened to the buck stops here? I mean, Jesus, this is a president who wants all the accolades when things go well. Things haven't been going well for a very long time, so he wouldn't get those. But he wants all the accolades when things go well. This is a president who wants a Nobel Peace Prize while starting a war. I've never heard of something so abjectly stupid in my life. But leave it to Donald Trump to want a Nobel Peace Prize while starting a war. But the buck stops there. But no, we want to blame Congress. Okay.
Jonathan, let me ask you a question. What is the Democrat strategy at this point? Like Brian just said, Congress getting a lot of blame for what's going on right now. Are they content to sit back and let President Trump, quote unquote, self-destruct and just let this kind of play out the way it is? Or do they have a plan going into the midterms to show the American people that they have a plan to fix these issues, bring down gas prices, bring down unemployment?
Well, gas prices are at a record high. And one of the things that I think is important to point out is that all of these failures of Donald Trump, look, when it came down to the situations that have been going on in the airports recently, you had all these Republicans trying to blame Democrats when Democrats had put forth several plans. But again, Democrats don't control the White House, they don't control the Senate, and they don't control the House. So there's not that much that they can do. So what the Democrats can do is really just sit back. They can, because that's really the position they're in, and say, look, if you want to see how things run with Republicans in charge, watch. Watch your airports, watch your gas prices, watch your grocery prices, watch all of those things. And if you like that, then vote for more of it. If you don't like that, then vote for the Democrats, because you want to say that Joe Biden was unpopular. Gallup just stopped counting presidential approval ratings, but Donald Trump's lowest approval rating was 34%. He was right near that right now before they stopped counting it at 35%, I believe it was. So you can say that Joe Biden was unpopular. He was never that unpopular. So my point in saying that is President Biden had our economy as the envy of the world. This is an undisputed fact. This isn't my opinion. This is an undisputed fact that he had our economy at the envy of the world. And in the 5 seconds that Trump has been in office, he has ruined our economy. And so the point I'm trying to make, and to answer your question, is Democrats are not in a position of power right now. They're not in a position where they can do anything other than kind of make what their proposals are clear, but they can't implement them. They can't show what it would be like if they were implemented. So all they can do is they can leave it to the American people to say, look, if you like your gas prices shooting through the roof, if you like groceries being as expensive if they are, if you like the idea that they want to bring back the draft and start a boots on the ground war with Iran, and no, to my co-panelist's point, what he said, we did not kick the can down the road. President Obama had an agreement with Iran, and Trump shredded it. So please don't make that up.
He gave
President
them
Obama.
billions of dollars in cash. I mean, it was ridiculous.
You mean their money?
I mean, basically what I'm hearing here is that the Democrat plan is 100%
please do the proper research.
anti-Trump
That money was
and
there.
pushing nothing, no agenda forward of its own. I mean, if that's what you want to do, going in November, great. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but you ought to actually stand for something other than just being against Trump. I don't think you can get to the finish line that way. I don't think it's enough.
It's not about being against Trump. It's just watching him fail. And please do your research on Iran and
All right, guys.
the
Let's
money.
keep, all right, guys.
Money was
Let's,
there.
no finger pointing. Let's keep it civil. All right. Tony's got a question.
So, Jonathan, my question is, when you talk about, okay, is it resist or not? We saw the No Kings protest, right? And that was very successful.
Right.
8 million people. It was a very, it's a great, from economic perspective, a lot of diversity of thought and in terms of what was going forward with all those types of protests, right? A lot of younger Democrats are saying, well, we need something. We need a program, for example. Do you think that Democrats could potentially do something like more like a shadow government or a Republican-style 1994 contract with America where you come out in front of the Capitol and lay out, here's our 10 things we're going to do in terms of policy when you give us the reins of power? Could that be a better strategy to be paired with a resistance, no king strategy, or is it more just about waiting and seeing?
I just, this is just my opinion. I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. I mean, I think one of the most horrific things that I've seen, truly, is what ICE has been doing. Kristi Noem, of course, was not fired not because ICE was killing Americans and using children as bait to get their parents. That would get anyone fired under a sane regime. No, she was fired because she spent $200 million on a ridiculous ad campaign. But one of the most horrific things I've seen is what ICE has been doing, and that has been turning off the American people. And I use that as an example because the Democrats didn't need to do anything. They just need to stand back and say, look, is this the America that you want? I think these No Kings protests, to me, in one sense, I think that they're important because I think it demonstrates to America that the country does not support Trump. And it is, in case there was any confusion, in case there was any question about that, the majority of the country is against Donald Trump. But at the same time, I do think it's important to point out that it's not really that important for the Democrats to come out and do a shadow government like you were talking about, or here's our proposal. It's just look at what Trump is doing. And, do you feel safe? Do you think that you're more safe in your community when ICE comes out and could potentially kill someone that you love, drag an elderly person through the streets, take a child that's 3, 4, 5 years old and use them as bait to get their parents? Do you feel safer? That
was a technical error on my part, guys. Hang tight with me for 1 second. Jonathan, you can finish your point, and then we're going to go to Brian.
That's really just essentially my point. I think they could. I really do think that the Democrats could do that, but I don't think it's important. I think Trump is failing so badly. His polling on the economy, on almost every issue, is so terrible. I mean, he's lost a record amount of support with the Latino community, which he was so proud of during the election. I could go down the list. I don't think the Democrats need to do anything. I think they need to just sit and watch Trump fail until the election happens, and let that be the end of it.
All right, Brian, I want to give you the last word.
Yeah, so the bottom line here is if Trump were to leave office tomorrow and be replaced by someone else, the Democrats would be left all the way to November with no agenda at all because 100% of it is about attacking Trump. And I think you have to advocate something of your own. You have to stand for something. I don't think attacking whether you think the president is popular or unpopular, I don't see how this brings people to where you need them to be. It's just not enough. And so, if Democrats want to go this route, I think they're consumed with hatred for Trump, and it gets the better of them 9 times out of 10. So we'll see what happens. But if this is all they've got, I'm feeling a lot better about the midterms right now.
All right, Jonathan Harris.
It's not hatred.
Brian
it's just
Maloney.
watching them fail.
Jonathan Harris and Brian Maloney, thank you guys both
Thank
for
you, guys.
spending some time
Thank
with
you.
us here tonight on the Live Zone Prime
Thank
Time.
you.
And of course, we will have
Sure thing.
President's entire address tomorrow night right here on Fox Local and Fox 5, and we will find out what he has to say about that war in Iran. We'll hear it from him ourselves. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to find out what else Tony P's been keeping his eye on this Tuesday night. It is 9:32. We'll be right back. All clear, guys. Thanks so much.
On there, right? That's good.
Theo, it's Chris. Just a heads up, we got another commercial break coming up, and then we'll come to you. I'll check in with you in a minute.
The rundown.
All right, welcome back to the live
Here
show.
we go.
Prime time on this Tuesday.
See, I did it this time.
Tuesday night. Tony P did do it this time, and I
am like-
spelled what wrong on that lower third. Look at that. That's
What
embarrassing.
is Tony P watching?
Yeah, right. That's
That-
what it
that's
should be.
there we go, that's
with
it.
an exclamation point and a question mark
What?
should be the new segment. What is Tony P watching? All right, Tony P. Let's get into though what you have.
Well,
been
what
keeping
is he
an eye on.
watching? Well, what is he watching, Tony? Oh, what's he watching? No, I was not trying to do that whole thing there. That was a bad comedic bit there, but we'll move forward. Okay, speaking of something not comedic, President Trump signed a new executive order today directing the Department of Homeland Security, working with the Social Security Administration, to compile a nationwide list of verified eligible voters in every state. The order also instructs the Postal Service to stop sending absentee ballots to anyone not on those lists and calls for barcoded tracking envelopes on every ballot. Trump called it foolproof today, unquote. Election law experts disagree, though. A previous voting executive order from last year had been blocked by the court, with judges ruling the president lacks constitutional authority over election administration, which the Constitution reserves for the states. Legal challenges are expected immediately on this executive order and will be using some of the notes from the case last year. The federal judge overseeing the lawsuit against President Trump's $400 million White House ballroom, of course, ruled today that construction must stop and Congress must authorize it. The Supreme Court also today dealt a significant blow to LGBTQ plus protections today, ruling in an 8-1 decision that Colorado's ban on conversion therapy for minors violates the First Amendment. The majority held that because conversion therapy typically involves talk, the state law amounts to a permissible restriction of speech. Only Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson dissented in the opinion. Notably, Justices Kagan and Sotomayor joined the conservative majority, though Kagan's concurrence suggested a viewpoint-neutral version of the law could survive. More than 20 states have similar bans, and advocacy groups warn today's ruling could render most of them unenforceable. Every major medical and mental health association in the country has condemned conversion therapy as harmful and discredited. Tiger Woods posted a statement on X this afternoon saying that he is stepping away to seek treatment. Quote, "I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in," unquote. "I am stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health and work towards lasting recovery," he said. The statement came hours after a Martin County court affidavit released this morning offered new details about his DUI arrest last Friday. Woods told the deputy he'd been looking down at his phone when his Land Rover clipped the back of a trailer near his Jupiter Island home, flipping onto its side. The deputy noted bloodshot eyes, dilated pupils, sweating, and movements described as lethargic and slow, unquote. 2 hydrocodone pills were also found in his pocket, and his attorney entered a not guilty plea this afternoon with an arraignment set for April 23rd. The Masters also confirmed tonight that he will not be playing in next week's major tournament. In the world of business, gas prices crossed $4 a gallon nationally today for the first time since 2022, with AAA putting the average at $4.02 for regular unleaded and more than $1 higher than before the war with Iran began. Diesel is averaging $5.45, up roughly 45% over the same period, and analysts warn prices could climb further if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Trump said today they'll plummet once the operation concludes, though economists note an end to the conflict won't translate into immediate relief at the pump or in the economy generally. In the medical world, there's a new COVID variant worth knowing about. BA.3.2, nicknamed Sasada, has been detected in at least 25 states and is already behind roughly 30% of the cases in parts of Northern Europe. The concern is its spike protein, which carries 70 to 75 mutations, far more than recent dominant strains, raising questions about vaccine effectiveness. That said, experts say it doesn't appear to cause more severe disease. Existing antivirals still work, and symptoms are the same as other COVID strains. Worth monitoring, but no cause for alarm. In the world of business, Oracle began laying off thousands of workers today, notifying employees across multiple countries via early morning emails with no prior warning. Analysts estimate the cuts could reach 20 to 30,000 workers, roughly 18% of Oracle's global workforce. The driver is Oracle's massive AI infrastructure build-out. The company has taken on more than $50 billion in new debt this year, including partnerships tied to OpenAI's Stargate project, and the balance sheet pressure has finally hit the headcount, as it does in a lot of businesses that are in this type of work. At their annual meeting in Phoenix, NFL owners approved the sale of roughly 7% of the Las Vegas Raiders today to existing limited partners Egon Durbin and Michael Meldman, valuing the franchise at more than $11 billion. Owners ratified a succession plan also, giving Durbin, the co-CEO of Silver Lake, the first right of refusal option to purchase majority owner Mark Davis's stake if and when Davis or his heirs choose to sell the team. Davis has made clear he has no plans to sell at this point. In the movie world, Scream 8 is in development, folks. Spyglass has hired sisters Leela and Nora Zuckerman, the showrunners behind Peacock's Poker Face, to write the script following Scream 7's $200 million global run, the biggest in its franchise's 30-year history. No director, cast, or story details have been announced at this point. Andy Cohen is speaking out about Real Housewives of Miami being put on pause and making clear that this wasn't his call. "Quote unquote, I get the credit and I get the blame," he said on his SiriusXM show, "and this was not my decision. If it was up to me, they'd be rolling all the time," unquote. He did promise to return, telling fans online afterwards it will be back, unquote, and suggesting a cast shakeup may be part of the recalibration. Real Housewives of Miami is not canceled, but it's at a crossroads, Chris, and for anybody who's a fan of that, you want to just keep your ears perked for this one. And finally, the 30th Annual Webby Awards announced nominations today, and the list reads like a scroll through the year of online. Taylor Swift, Bad Bunny, Lady Gaga, Timothée Chalamet, Stephen Colbert, the Kelsey brothers, LeBron James, Pedro Pascal, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA all made the cuts, as did OpenAI, Sinners, and Waymo. Google led all organizations with 46 nominations. Winners will be announced April 21st with a ceremony May 11th in New York, where, per tradition, every winner gets exactly 5 words to speak. I kind of like that. That could be good for the Oscars in the YouTube era.
Yeah, tell me about it. It would probably cut down on all those awkward play-off moments.
I know.
2 other quick
No
things.
more music, no jazz music to cut.
Going back to the Supreme Court, tomorrow
Yes.
they're set to hear the birthright citizenship
That's
case.
right.
We have seen people already lined up outside of the court to get in and hear that, so we'll have complete coverage on that coming up tomorrow right here on Fox 5.
Yes.
And also coming out of those NFL meetings today, the Jacksonville Jaguars going to play in Orlando come 2027. So that will be
right.
their temporary
Yep, their new stadium's being
status at that
adjusted.
point. Yeah, while they're figuring all the
Yep,
rest.
they're expanding it to
of
like $1 billion
that.
complex, which is crazy,
they
my
are.
friend. And also, I got to tell you, Chris, I mean, that conversion therapy decision is a very sad one. I think overall, I mean, conversion therapy has been proven time and time again. It is very harmful, not only to the LGBTQ plus community, but to individuals that are going through it. It is very harmful for mental health, and it is a free speech case the court is ruling, but this is something that I hope does not become a justification to roll out conversion therapy laws, because this is pseudoscience and just absolute crap. So just wanted to make that point, because it can be a very scary time for many members of the LGBTQ plus community hearing a ruling like this.
All right, we are going to take another quick break, taking you out to our Fox 5 Skycam in Frederick, Maryland, all lit up over Carroll Creek. Coming up next, Tony P.
Carroll Creek, okay.
We are talking about Costco. People love it, and they're going viral for not just one, but 2 new products.
All right.
We're going to talk about both of them, but specifically, we're going to talk about the whiskey that people are willing to drop some big money to get their hands on, and I am desperate to know if anyone out there has gotten their hands on a bottle. Theo Rutherford's going to join us live coming up next. We'll be right back. All right, Theo,
Nope.
text 1 2, test 1 2. Theo, it's Chris. Can you hear me?
Hey, Chris, what's up, bud?
All right, excellent. Thank you again so much for joining us. We're going to come to you in just about a minute 30.
All good.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Big story of the LA Times today about local news. I'll send it to you.
What was it about?
It's about the, the consolidation. What is this?
Yeah, this is a story of famous dog.
The atomic dog?
The dog that chases its tail. We'll be visiting.
That was close. I think I may have just dropped the 4-letter word. But it's all right. We're
Right.
streaming.
House dog.
Anyway,
Right.
I saw George
World
Clinton
unite.
at the University of Maryland back in the year like 2002.
Really?
It was one of the most wild shows I've ever seen in my
The
entire
atomic-
life. So why are we playing the atomic
Yeah,
dog?
why?
Well, it'll make sense here coming up in just
That's
a
why,
little
you
bit,
see my face
because
like I was like reacting
I know,
slow motion.
and I loved every second of it. But we are going to talk about why you got that dog in you coming up in just a minute. First, though, we are going to talk about Easter. It is just a few days away, as you know, Tony P. And Costco is going viral with this, a 10-pound, $140 chocolate Easter bunny.
It's adorable.
But, as you can see the headline right there, you need a hammer to eat it. The package also says it contains 151 servings and 150 calories per serving.
So that's what?
If you are planning to eat it yourself, Tony P, a quick math,
Yeah.
a hair raising, get it? But I'm 22,650 calories total.
I might finally gain weight.
Tony P, trust me. You can also just wait a few years and metabolism will take care of it.
Hey, listen, my metabolism has lasted me this
Welcome to my
long.
world. All right, so that's the first reason Costco has gone viral this week. This is the other reason for the whiskey fans out there.
There we
I got
go.
that dog in me bourbon has been trending on social media. It's made by the brand Rare Character. And apparently it is only available in Washington, D.C. But Tony P, good luck getting your hands on any. It hit store shelves earlier this month, quickly went viral. And
It's the hot dog. Oh,
quickly,
my
It is the hot
God.
dog, the $1.50 hot dog
That
inspiration.
is brilliant.
Quickly went viral and quickly
$85 more
sold
dollars, that's
out.
okay.
I have been fascinated by this story. So what I did earlier today was I texted our good friend Theo Rutherford. Theo Rutherford is a sommelier. He is also a whiskey expert. And I said, Theo, have you managed to get your hands on a bottle of this? And Theo, what did you write back?
I wrote back, no, but I will run to Costco right now. And I did. And they had -6 bottles. I'm not sure how you have negative bottles.
How do you have negative?
But -6 bottles.
I guess they have a wait list. But what that confirmed for me, and that I had been unable to determine through my own research, because so much of this reporting has been based on a Reddit post and a Reddit thread.
Right.
And I sent this to a couple
Don't always trust
I
Reddit.
didn't even know if this was real or not.
Is it AI?
I didn't trust that it was real, except for the fact that A, I went today, and B, this jogged a little thing in my memory from going a couple weeks ago, and I saw this bottle out of the corner of my eye. I was like, I'm just not even going to look at it. It's in the glass case. 9 times out of 10, those are just not things that I'm going to play with, and it's definitely real, 100% real.
So this is obviously inspired by their iconic $1.50 hot dog. So, but it retails for like $85. That's what they're charging.
Right.
But I have seen posts on social media of people willing to pay much more. I have seen posts on social media of people willing to trade bottles of Old Rip and Pappy Van Winkle for a bottle of this. Theo, from what you know, what kind of characteristics would a normal $85 bottle of bourbon have? What would you look for in a bottle that costs that much?
I mean, honestly, before we get into that, I do need to say one thing. This does not taste like hot dogs. It is not a hot dog flavored whiskey. So if anybody's sitting there thinking,
that would be my question.
Yay, saltiness, not a thing. I'll go into what it actually is in a second. But when you're looking at an $85 whiskey, honestly, for me, quality is in who's drinking it. If you like the $45 whiskey, I know Melissa's on here and she's sitting there with her handle of Maker's Mark, which all power to you. I'm with you with that. Great. But what you typically are looking for is something that has a little bit more age to it, something that usually has a little bit higher proof to it. That higher proof is going to bring out a lot more flavor. It's going to linger on the palate a little bit more. And that extra age just brings in a little bit more of those wood notes, a little bit more of that caramel, a little bit more of that molasses that you're kind of used to with your older whiskeys. So typically what you're looking at with an $85 bottle of whiskey.
Can Costco ride this type of viral fame with the built-in hot dog branding to really make this drink work with consumers? Or does it take a lot more when it comes to whiskey to build trust and to build a true fan base that keeps coming back for more than one bottle?
So it sort of all depends on what your definition of success is. If I am rare character right now, it's successful, right? I just sold out of every bottle I made. Costco went viral with it. I'm now in the news and I'm all over the news cycle. So success. To maintain that success is something a little bit different. And you're seeing that with a lot of consolidation with brands. You're seeing brands that haven't been around as long start to fall off and start to go bankrupt, or even brands that are pretty well known starting to go bankrupt. And that there are a whole lot of things we can talk about with that. I know you guys did a segment recently on sort of what the drinking economy is looking like. And I've got all of my opinions on that with everything that we do. But for something like this, if I am rare character and I'm not expecting to sell 1 million bottles, I think this is a success, 100%. And now Costco can ride this out in so many different ways. T-shirts, hats, whoever wants to now co-brand this next, enjoy, because you're going to sell out of it.
Right.
So Theo, talk to us about what this whiskey, this bourbon actually does have in terms of a flavor profile.
So what this actually is this is a single barrel product done specifically for Costco that has now been branded in their own way. So I have a couple other examples of what that looks like. So I have an Elijah Craig single barrel, but on the back, it's Spaceballs.
No way.
So kind of a fun one there.
Amazing.
And then there's obviously little subtle ones like Redemption, but you can see sort of down here, there's the little Magruder's label that's down there. Yeah. So really with these single barrel products, it really is kind of up to the companies, how they do it, how they present that, and then how they want their customers to put their own spin on it. So with Rare Character, because of the way that they're doing things, they're collecting barrels, they're also collecting distillate. Knowing exactly what this is going to be without tasting it is a little hard because all of their whiskeys are so different. But given that it is a higher proof product and given the fact that there is definitely some age on this, what I expect is a lot more wood to it. So if you like those sort of woodsy notes, a little bit of that smoky characteristic, definitely going to be there. Because it's higher proof, it's going to be one that sits and lingers with you for a little while. So I would say take a sip of it first, see if you like that high proof, and then probably take a nice big ice cube and add it into that so you can sit with it a little bit longer and maybe feel your feet afterwards. But definitely one that's going to be a funny, if you are one of the people that got one of these, this is going to be a really funny story for you and your friends of, I ran to Costco and got the hot dog whiskey, which when you first texted me, I was like, if we flavored this hot dog wise, we have lost track of a whole lot of things
Right.
at this point.
It's also so fascinating.
It
Tony
is.
P,
Oh,
that
yeah.
Washington, D.C. is the only place where they've released
Yeah.
it so far,
Right.
which I wasn't sure if that was a strategic move.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah, like, well, what's the strategy behind that?
That's a great question. Now, one thing to understand about DC, which we are one of the weirdest markets in the entire country when it comes to alcohol sales.
Okay.
And the reason we are is that we are the only place, or we were at least for a little while. I think recently, after COVID, it hasn't been quite as high, but we were the only place in the country where liquor sales in restaurants outpaced liquor sales in liquor stores.
Wow.
Now
Like for
that's
brunch and dinner, I could
transients.
see that.
Yeah, it's transients, it's power lunches, it's all sorts of other things. But
Right.
we were the only place in the country where restaurants outsold liquor stores. Not as much anymore. It might be 50-50 at this point, but still, it's a really unique market where wine and spirits are concerned. We also are kind of the Wild West. We can do what we want. You can direct import from anywhere in the world if you're a liquor store for $5 more a year on your liquor license, which means I can literally, Tony P, if you've got a winery in Italy, I can call you and say, hey, send me the cases. No one else can get it. I can. So
Wow.
it sort of makes sense. We're a pretty attentive audience when it comes to some things like this. And we have a lot of bottle chasers around. So if they're looking for those sort of weird exclusive things, this is a great place to do it.
Okay, so that actually leads me right to the next thing, the bottle chasing. Okay, so
Yeah.
obviously there are a lot of people here who have a lot of money to spend. There are a lot of rare releases. There are a lot of just the kinds of releases that people just like to say that they have. Does this kind of tap into that more, or is this more of a gimmick to try to drum up sales, especially in a time where fewer people are drinking? And we kind of have this, post Mad Men where everybody wanted an old fashioned and everybody liked the idea of drinking bourbon, and now that's kind of fallen out of favor.
So I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's definitely some bottle chasing because that exclusivity is a thing that a lot of people still, especially in this area, go after. But I think it's also tapping into some humor, which I think the liquor industry right now is missing some of that. And I think that's part of why we have not broken into some of the younger demographics the way that we have before. Chris, when you and I were younger, we had a little bit more disposable income, not a lot, but still a little bit. And we would drink a lot of crazy stuff. We maybe weren't as health conscious as the current legal drinking age coming up, but also we had fun with it. There were certain things that were just sort of fun where wine and spirits were concerned that right now they're taking themselves a little seriously. And so with younger consumers, it's not looking as fun. It's not, you're seeing things like buzz balls be really popular because it's in a ball form and they make a thing to hold your balls when you're walking around with buzz balls. It's funny. And so we need to, I think a piece of this and why we're missing some of the demographic that we have historically counted on with that legal drinking age coming up is we need to lighten up a little bit. We need to have a little bit more fun with what's going on. And I think gimmicks like this, and I say gimmick, and that's probably not the right word to use, but we'll say really interesting news cycles for bourbon are one that honestly can make you laugh a little bit. Yes, we're not expecting the 21-year-olds to go out and spend $85 on this bottle of bourbon, but I do think it's something that at least gets people talking, at least gets people laughing a little bit, and maybe not taking this as seriously as the liquor industries tend to.
Now, a lot of folks, especially as they get closer to 22, 23, this younger audience, they don't have as much disposable income as we discussed, and they go to Costco for their vodka, for their beers, for their other mixed drinks, and those type of things. In your experience, is Costco's brand of alcohol viewed as a solid one, just like separate of the bourbon drink here? And what would be a kind of market comparison that Costco's quality is to maybe some brand names that are in the same vicinity?
So I would say 9.5 times out of 10, the answer to your question is yes, in terms of quality, that it is absolutely quality. And the reason for that is that many of those brand names that you know well actually make the Kirkland product.
Oh, okay.
So they just changed something slightly. So whether that's the bourbon, instead of it being a 9-year product that we know well, it's now an 8-year product.
Right.
It's the same distillate, same aging, same everything else. It's just 8 instead of 9. Or the Irish whiskey, it's aged slightly less. Whatever it is, there's just one small tweak. And I'll tell you a quick story about sort of how that works.
Yeah.
Titleist actually sued Costco at one point for their golf balls.
Yes, they did.
Because they were literally the same thing. But the way that Costco got away with it was there were 52 dimples instead of 53. That was their small change.
You're kidding.
And so the same quality golf balls, but it was 52 dimples instead of 53 dimples. And so that's what the Kirkland products do. When you meet with Costco, if you're a supplier, a lot of those meetings, you're trying to get your product into Costco because obviously people shop there and they're looking for those deals. But part of that deal can also be, if you have bulk product, you can start talking about actually producing the Kirkland brand and it being something that, while it doesn't necessarily do a whole lot for your brand equity, if you're trying to build your brand name, it certainly does for your bottom line.
Wow.
Theo, we're down to our final minute. If people want to get into whiskey, if they want to have some options out there that they can still get a bottle of, unlike the I Got That Dog in Me.
What's similar?
Or if they just want to ask you questions or follow you for more, how can they do that?
So if they have questions for me, you can email me imbibetheworld@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media at boozebully. There's a lot of stories about that. I can tell you those later.
I like that.
But if you're looking for fun whiskeys, honestly, Bibb & Tucker is one of my favorites. We can't keep it in the house. Both my wife and I drink that probably more often than we should. That's just something that's nice and easy. It's an everyday sipper if you want that. It's also great by a campfire. Redemption, as I showed you guys earlier. But also, if honestly, I will be honest, I buy some things by the package. If I think the package is super cool looking and it doesn't break the bank, if I'm in that $50 range and it just kind of looks cool and I haven't seen it before, I'm probably buying it, taking it home and trying it.
A man after my own heart. Theo Rutherford, thank you so much for spending some time with us here and lending
done,
us
sir.
your
Thank you.
expertise. We'll raise a glass to you when we have one, hopefully together soon.
My non-alcoholic one.
Hey, appreciate it. And Tony P, thank you for your comments on conversion therapy. That was awesome. I really, really appreciate that. That was fantastic
Fox
to hear.
5 News at 10 coming
Thank
your
you.
way next year on Fox Local. Thanks, Theo. We're all clear.
Thanks, Chris.